Imagine you want to buy a pair of shoes. What kind of factors affect and influence your decision making process? Besides the personal factors like economic situations, there are other factors that affect our decision making processes. Hello, here is Iman, and in this video, I want to talk about consumer behavior and more specifically about the decision making process and the factors affecting it. So let's jump into it. There are different factors influencing our decision making process, and more specifically, they can shape and change also our wants and demands. The first factor is culture. Culture can shape or even change our wants. For example, people in China are more likely to eat chicken than beef. So, McDonald's is not a very successful business in China compared to KFC. That's why we need to understand the culture of our customers before we propose them any sort of values. But culture is not the only cultural factor that affects our customers' decision making process. We have also social class as another cultural factor that affects our consumers' decision making. For example, if they are from a higher social class levels, maybe they want to buy something more luxury. If they are from lower social classes, they want to go for more commodity products instead of more luxury products. So we need to also consider social class of our customers. Another factor that can influence our buyers' choices is social factors. It's not related to the social class, it's more related to their relationships in the society. So, for example, they might have some sort of families or members in their families or even friends that can change their minds about a specific product or brand. It's not all about our family members or friends. The influence might come from another social group, like reference groups or aspirational groups. You see, for example, when you want to buy something, these days you can go on TikTok, Instagram, or other social media platforms to read and understand the opinions of some influencers, bloggers, or anyone else who has some kind of expertise on that specific product. So they can share their ideas and experience with you, and you can trust them and you rely on their reviews because you can compare the reviews with your expectations and see, okay, for example, if there is a fit, you can go and buy the product. Otherwise, you don't buy a product. On the other hand, we also have aspirational groups who are a kind of models for our lives. So we just want to mimic what they are doing and what they are wearing, what they are buying, or whatever they are acting in their lives. So we want to be someone like them. That's why we follow their opinions and choices. These days, not only influencers, bloggers, our family members or relatives and friends have their own influences on our decision making processes. We need to know that we are also affected by word of mouth. With the influence of internet and social media, you have access to bunch of reviews about a product. So you have actually access to different resources to understand if a product is really suitable for you or not. So these days, word of mouth is more important than it was in the past. Another big factor that can influence our buyer's decision making process is personal factors like occupations, jobs, lifestyles, our personal economic situations, or even life cycle stages. For example, if I am a younger person, my choices will be different from when I become adult or when I'm even older, right? Or my occupation, if I'm an engineer, my choices for buying a pair of shoes will be different from than when I'm a doctor or when I'm a nurse, right? So all these factors have their own effect on our decisions. Finally, we have psychological factors like motivations, learning process, perceptions, or even beliefs and attitudes toward our product or brand. For the motivation, for example, some people might be motivated to buy your product by a kind of monetary incentives, but other people like to have more kind of personal attention from your personnel. So that's the difference in their motivation. We need to understand the differences in their motivation. Other thing would be about their learning processes. Different people have different learning styles. They can learn something by some incentives, or they need more reinforcement. For example, if you want to let them know that your product is superior than your competitors, you need to repeat that in your advertising. Some people learn these kind of things from advertising, some people learn it from your price points. Some people might test your product and don't like it and don't give you another chance. But some other people might don't like your product but give you another chance to see if you can make it up or not. We also need to take care of our customers' perceptions. Some different people from different backgrounds and cultures might perceive our products or brands differently. Some colors have positive associations in some countries, but at the same time, they have negative associations in other countries. So we need to think about them and take care of them and make sure that everything is working. For example, even brand names have different meanings in different countries. So you need to be very cautious about your brand name when you want to work in a country, province, city, or whatever. You need to think and see how it can work better for the people living there. Okay, now we talked about the factors that influence our buyers' decision making processes. But now let's dive into the process itself, and we need to understand what stages our buyers go through when they want to buy a product. The buying process usually starts with need recognition. We need to understand our needs when we want to buy something. So, for example, if I don't want to commute to university, if I don't want to commute to my work, if I don't want to go to another city, or if I don't want to travel, maybe I don't need a car, right? So I need to recognize my need. Then I need to go and see, okay, what are the options available for me? So that's exactly the time to gather information about the products that are available for my need. So I will do a search and see, okay, I can, for example, go buy a bus, or I can take a taxi, or I can take Uber, or I can buy my own car to go to my work. Whenever I gather enough information about the options available for me, now it's time to evaluate these options. We call this stage evaluation of alternatives. So at this point, I'll come up with pros and cons of each alternative, and I want to see, for example, which option can work the best for me. And whenever I narrow it down to, let's say, two options, that's the time to make a decision. So it's purchase decision stage. We need to know that there might be some circumstances when it comes to purchase decision, and they can shift and switch our decisions. For example, I've decided to buy a gas car, but suddenly some circumstances happen and I change my mind and I want to go for an EV car. Under what conditions we change our mind? The first one is the attitudes of others. So, for example, they might make me feel bad about myself if I want to buy and go for a gas car. So, I don't want to be like a person that I'm not caring about the environment. So, I change my mind and I will go for an EV car. The other factor is unexpected situational factors, like, for example, COVID that happened and companies couldn't provide and manufacture lots of cars, so you needed to be in line for ordering an EV car or even ordering a gas car. So at that situation, you might change your mind, go with other options. So whenever you buy your product, it's now time to you to test and give it a shot to see if it fulfills your expectations or not. That's the post-purchase stage. We need to know that almost all large buying decisions come with a kind of cognitive dissonance. They actually result in cognitive dissonance. What's cognitive dissonance? That's a kind of conflict in our mind. We think that, okay, we paid a lot, so it's worth it, but the situation and the actual product tells us that, oh no, it's not worth it. So we have a kind of conflict here in our mind, but we want to resolve it. So what we usually do, we go and rationalize our decisions. That's what we try to do. But companies need to know that we are facing these kind of cognitive dissonance, so they can also give us some reasons. So to make it easier for us to resolve these kind of conflicts in our minds. For example, they can give us a better price options, they can give us a kind of financing option, or even they can give us a kind of after sale services, any sort of things, extra features or services can help us to resolve these conflicts. So yes, that's the process of buying a product. But we need to know that there is also another process for adopting a new product, which we call it adoption process. So it's kind of the same process as buying process, but there are some nuances here. For example, the first step instead of need recognition is awareness. Why? Because the new product, sometimes we might not be really in the need of that specific product. That's quite new to the market. So instead of having the need, instead of our need recognition, we need to know something about the product. So the first step is awareness. So the second step would be interest. Whenever we get information about the product and we are aware of the product that exists, now we might be interested in that product. So we go over their website and we read more about their products. After this step, whenever we think that, okay, this product might be a good fit for our needs, we bring it to the evaluation process. So the next step is evaluation. After this step, we are considering this product as an alternative of other products in the market that can fulfill our needs. So that's maybe the time that we give them a chance and we try this product. So it's the trial stage. So after trying the product, and if we think that it works for us now and it can satisfy our expectations and needs, that's the time for adoption, which means that we are going to use the product regularly. So these are the adoption stages for a new product or an innovation. Thank you, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.